I have to admit that the excitement around Tokyo Mew Mew last week was really great. I felt so reassured about how many people really love this franchise and how much excitement built around it. Enough that it got trending on Twitter. There was so much excitement going back and forth. A lot of the creators. I got a reply from the voice of Ichigo on Twitter, which was fantastic, or at least I got a like. It's enough for me. It's enough for me to be noticed by Senpai. Really just expressing to her what a fantastic job that she did with Ichigo, despite the fact that it's kind of her first anime role, according to a lot of the sites. So I was really excited to see a lot of that stuff really building up the excitement around this franchise because it's a franchise I love. Now, I will admit that I'm a fake fan. I'm a fake fan. I love the franchise. Like I said in my first video, everybody loved, Sailor Moon. I loved Tokyo Mew Mew. I loved Shugo Chara. I loved Cardcaptor Sakura. Those are mine. And I loved really kind of how different Tokyo Mew Mew was to a lot of the other. Yes, they have the transformation. Yes, they have the power instilled girls. Yes, they have the chosen ones. Yes, they have the alien threat. But it just feels different. It always felt different. But I felt bad because a lot of people were commenting saying this was different. This was different. And I'm like, I didn't even notice because I was so excited that it was coming back. I just watched it. But yes, technically going back and looking at the manga and looking at the original series, the original adaptation, there's quite a bit different with this adaptation. And that was kind of what I was getting into when I talked about the preview for this series, was I was hoping that they'll do something different with the franchise. Give it a little pacing boost, get it more acceptable for modern times, because we're obviously most people are just, they want things to get to the point. They want things to go faster. And so when you watch those older shows, they just don't hold up today. I mean, I know this is like an extreme, but watching the original Gundam a while back, it was like, whew, this is super slow. Like you have to turn it to 2x speed before it's like normal, it's normal paced. But yes, it was interesting to actually go back and reacquaint myself with the old adaptation, relook at the old manga. Honestly, I thought about reading the manga, and maybe it's the version that I'm looking at, but it's like super fast. Like it jumps around a lot. But I did get a hint that yes, it seems like the old anime was closer to what the manga was, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I mean, obviously the big indication that things are going to be changing this time around is that Mint was with the team from the very beginning. She was already working with the Mew Mew Cafe long before Ichigo even joined. She was helping them pull everybody together, which was odd because it kind of made it out to be that Mint, got all the other Mew Mews together to that one location so they can get zapped. But yet now they have to find them. So there's a little bit of an issue there. Maybe I missed some explanation there, but it felt like a little bit of a plot hole. But still, like I said, the big indication that things are changing is that Mint was there before. Whereas in the anime and the manga, the first person that Ichi goes to find is Mint. She finds her. She's this really richy, prissy girl. She's got this dog that she really likes. The dog goes crazy. They're trying to save the dog, and eventually Mint awakens and becomes a Mew Mew. So that is significantly different. And this time around, the second episode, we're going straight after Lettuce. Lettuce is basically the first one that Ichigo finds and goes to help, which she's obviously being bullied, which is technically the same in both. I will argue, I really liked how this was portrayed in this adaptation. Tokyo Mew Mew New really did pull off the trauma that Lettuce is going through, and the fact that she doesn't really respect herself enough. And that's something that Ichigo is trying to push into her is, your friends are pushing you around. Obviously, they're bullying you. And she's like, well, they're just taking their stress out on me. She's not seeing it as they're being mean to her. It's just they're taking their stress out on me, and I need to try harder to help them. Like it's really self-damaging. It's not a good mentality to have. And they, like I said, they really portray that well, because as it starts building up, the tension starts building up, she starts to go out of control. They did a really good job of showing those shots. Ichigo reaching her hand out, the girls treating her terribly. Ichigo reaching her hand out, the girls treating her terribly. It did it really well, and I did like how they portrayed that. But yeah, it's still interesting. Technically, yes, Mint was with Ichigo when she went to go stop Lettuce, but like I said before, we're jumping ahead a little bit, which is fine. Honestly, I think Lettuce's story was fantastic. I think Mint's story, at least the first meet, wasn't that interesting in the original, so it's not that big of a loss for me. I think it might be a bother to people that probably were big Mint fans and they feel like they've been robbed of something. But I think in return to get a Mint story, that opening story, instead we're getting a Mint that is already established. Like, she's already there. She was there from the very beginning, and she was the one technically, besides the other two guys, really pulling the strings behind the scenes to pull everything together. She's more involved, while still being her usual prissy self. I did get a kick out of. I was kind of wondering if they were going to pull that joke off, but it's funny because in the original, when Ichigo is first introduced to the cafe, they're like, "Here's the cafe. Don't worry, you're gonna work here, but don't worry, we don't get many customers, and so it's fine." Whereas they really quickly jump into that. No, there's already people here. You're going to be working here. Have fun. Whereas, like I said, in the original, it was more like, there's nobody that comes here. And then it cuts like a scene and there's tons of people there. And she's like, what the crap? Now I got to work. You said nobody worked here. That was a cute little difference there that I felt was kind of a lost opportunity. I really liked that joke from the original one, and they didn't really do it in this one. Now, I will say, we did also get in the second episode was Mint's transformation. I was okay with Ichigo's. I think it was great. It looks great. I will say Mint's transformation wasn't as good as the original anime adaptation. I really did like, in the original one, obviously the big indication that we had from the original one was that Mint was a ballerina. And so when she does do her transformation, a lot of it is her doing different poses and different ballerina techniques. And with this one, it was just kind of, she stretches over, tail comes out, she does like one little jump, and that's it. And that was a little bit of I will admit, that was a little bit of a downer for me. I really did like the original Mint's transformations. It was a lot more elegant. It was a lot more ballerina-esque for it. So I will say I don't really like to do the whole judgment back and forth, like this did it better, but I did like the original better. But the visuals, obviously, for the new one, they're doing a lot better. It looks a lot more polished. Honestly, it's a lot more upgraded. It goes back to the argument that they're both still there. Like, the old one is still there that you can check out. Like, even equally with the first encounter that Ichigo has with Aoyama after this whole situation with her getting her power and him getting knocked out. The thing that they don't explain to Ichigo is that because she's infused with the DNA of this cat, she's going to obviously show these powers. It's going to come out every now and then whenever she's stressed. And obviously, she's stressed around Aoyama. And so in the original one, this whole thing where they dropped some stuff and then she started transforming. She started getting the ears and everything. So she immediately, like, she's behind Aoyama and she freaks out and he goes to look at her and she grabs him from behind to hold him to not turn around, which I thought was super cute with the original one. Whereas this one was more kind of just she realizes it and shuffles away very, very quickly. Definitely a different take on that one. But either way, super great episode as always. Like I said, I think honestly, they're doing so much better with the pacing with this one, and I think it's moving along very well. It doesn't feel like an old magical girl. It honestly does. It doesn't feel like an edgy magical girl, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel like an old, very slow-paced magical girl. And technically, with these first two episodes, we got two significant stories. One is the introduction of Ichigo into this whole world with a fight, and in this episode, we're getting Lettuce's story, which was... It's a very troubling story. It's a very high drama story about her being basically bullied. And I think they did a really good job of portraying her lack of care for her own self, and then having a battle to kind of go with it. And like I said, and granted, they could have upgraded Mint's story and done something more fantastical and more impactful with it, but either way, I think so far with what we've gotten with each episode, it feels more modern, it feels more upgraded, it feels more better paced to a more modern audience. And that's, again, some might see that as bad because it's something that people that have heavy nostalgia are going to be upset about. They're going to lose their music. They're going to lose these stories they really do care about. But like I said with my impressions on the first episode, the key thing that they really should focus on is building a new audience. And as long as they can still get the essence of these characters, their stories, their personalities, while tweaking things a little bit in order to appeal to a new audience, I think it's a good thing. And like I said before, we still have the original, we still have the manga, And I love this new adaptation so far. I think it's doing a fantastic job. And I cannot wait to see the other two characters as they join the party, and hopefully they nail their characters as well. Oh, I almost forgot. Can we address how spicy that scene got with Sherganic? That was, wow, we did that. We went that far. And he never changes. I love him just being so mean to her. You're very precious to me as a weapon. Never change. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the second episode of Tokyo Mew Mew New. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Do you agree, disagree with the changes and all that kind of stuff? I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. Additionally, if you've not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody that does, and y'all take care.